guys, Joe here from XFoxGames. Check it out. We got Nerfty Lizzy. Now, I know what some of you guys are thinking, hey, I've seen that design before, and for sure, this is very, very similar, if not exact, to some of the other 3D printed stuff you can find online. But this isn't 3D printed. This is plastic injection. And, you know, to be honest, I have the original Gecko, and you know, when things are 3D printed, for me, you know, things break sometimes and things like that, and I've put a lot of rounds through this, and I've had no issues, unlike the original that I had. This blows my original Gecko completely out of the water in forms of durability, as well as just functionality. But still, nonetheless, let's go over this bad boy so you guys can kind of see it. Now, before we start, I gotta give a big thank you to everybody again who's been visiting our Etsy shop. You guys have been keeping us super busy. Lots of cool stuff to come, but my gosh, you guys keep us super busy. And let's take a quick look at what is in the box on this Lizzy. So you can see here, if you open up the box, it's pretty straightforward. There's a blaster ready to go. There is a clip or a magazine, as well as a kind of a red dot scope. Now, one of the things about this too is make sure you check underneath, because mine came with, yes, 80 short length or half length darts. I was like, 80? Wow, I didn't know it was 80. I thought maybe 10, 20, right? Would have been okay. But still, on the box, nothing too crazy. It is down and to the blaster itself. Now, let's look at this thing up close, because man, guys, this is, man, it just looks so good. Look at that. I mean, the grip, the feel, just the feel of it having this kind of plastic injection, it feels so solid and so premium. It feels so, so good. So much different than the 3D printed stuff that, you know, that I was using before. This just feels like it could take a solid beating. Now, up top, yes, we do have kind of that little plastic red dot scope up there. Yes, there is a little red dot that goes in there after you pull that little tab out for the battery. Would I use it on a battlefield? Probably not. I just want to aim, but still, nonetheless, it is there. It does come with just one magazine, and you guys know these are kind of specific to this particular blaster, so make sure you order up a few of these. I think they're about $8. Now, to release the magazine, there is a little latch on the back. It's only going to be on the left side of the blaster, so for all you right-handed people, yeah, no problem for left-handed. It's going to be a little weird to undo, but you can see there, you push it up, and it just slides on out. Now, mine was a little sticky at first, but the more that I use this, the more kind of easier it did to actually come out. The first few tries, it didn't want to come out until, again, I used it 4 or 5 times, and I'm like, okay, it's finally coming out. Now, one of the things you're going to notice also with this particular blaster is the short darts that come along with it. If you look here, mine came with 80, and they look very, very similar to some of the darts you've seen right on the shelf, some of the Adventure Force stuff. Very, very similar, but there is one huge difference on these things, which we'll go over here in a second. But you're going to see on these darts, yeah, comparison to Bamboos, to the Dart Zone Pro stuff. I mean, it's the same height, pretty much shot about the same, which we'll see here in a second. But one of the biggest differences is the tip. Now, I didn't even notice this until I was shooting it. So you'll see it later on in the shooting video, but you can see the tips on these are like a hard plastic. They're like, when you squeeze it, it is a hard plastic. Unlike most quote-unquote foam darts, small darts, they have kind of a more of a forgiving tip, right? A rubberized tip. This is like a hard plastic. So you'll see again, when we're hitting stuff, man, I feel like if you hit something too hard with this, you'll actually break the tip. That's how hard these are. Don't hit anybody with that. That's gonna, that is going to hurt. But let's take, again, look at this in the hands. Man, it just feels good. A nice beefy grip with some texture on there. It feels really good. The trigger pull is nice and light, and it feels, again, great. Whether it is right or left-handed, I just feel super good kind of holding this thing. Now, to prime this is just like the normal Gecko. You grab it in the front and you pull it back and you release it forward. And that's it. I'm like, oh my gosh. Woo! Gosh, you see that? It is so good. So my magazine, of course, holds 10 rounds. You can probably fit 11 in there if you really cram it, but 10 seem to be the optimal. And so one of the things I want you guys to note here is when you guys are listening to this, when you guys hear more of that plastic, hard plastic hitting, this is me shooting the regular darts hitting that door. And you could hear it has almost like a hard plastic sound where it's almost gonna break, comparison to the Adventure Force stuff that I shoot that has more of the rubberized tip, that it doesn't have that really plastic, hard plastic on plastic sound. Now, you are going to notice also that with the standard darts that come along with this, I got, roughly about 5 FPS less than some of the Adventure Force Pro stuff, as well as some of the Dart Zone stuff, the smaller darts that you can get, you know, at Walmart and Target and places like those. So keep that in mind. I did notice an increase in accuracy also. So when I was in my backyard shooting this thing, a lot of the Adventure Force darts were straight and faster, right? Way more accurate. I think because of that hard plastic tip on the darts that come along with this Lizzy, they tended to kind of skew because I didn't feel like the mass was centered correctly, right? Whatever's underneath that, maybe if it was off center, it would tend to have the dart hook right, hook left. I know it is kind of hard to see on the door here, but also the darts are black, so when I'm in the backyard shooting, it's still really hard to kind of see it. So nonetheless, just again, take a listen of that sound, and you will see really, really quickly and hear really quickly about, yeah, that sounds like it's hitting that door and that plastic is about to break, comparison to the Adventure Force darts, which have a normal thing. So for me, I would opt for using standard half-length darts, whether it is the Adventure Force Pro stuff or, again, you know, some of the Dart Zone stuff. It's really up to you. But still, I mean, woo, this thing is smoking. It is definitely a sweet, you know, a secondary for sure. Maybe even some people will do a primary. So again, there is just a quick video, guys, of me shooting. Now, this does have a lot of upgrades that you can do to it, from the spring to the can to the catch, all of this stuff, and you guys can check some of it out here. I do have some of this on order. I definitely want to upgrade the spring as well as some of the other parts on here, so that is definitely coming. But man, overall, guys, this thing is freaking awesome. I cannot stress enough how good the feel is of this thing with that injection molded plastic comparison to 3D printed parts. I really don't care what you print it with, whether you're printing in PLA, ABS, I don't care what your printer is, man. You know, you cannot beat the feel of this thing. This thing is so solid, but it is what it is. And with the upgraded parts, I cannot wait to upgrade some of this stuff to really see if it steps it up to that, you know, to that kind of top tier performance. But still, nonetheless, look at that. Oh my gosh, guys, it is so awesome. Anyways, I quickly wanted to go over this. I didn't want to dig in too deep because, again, this is very similar to, you know, the Gecko, but it is different in kind of the build materials. And man, I think that some of you guys, if you guys have been looking at this, do not even hesitate. Pick this thing up because it freaking rocks. Oh man, it feels so good. Anyways, that's my 2 cents, guys. Let me know what you think. Thanks again, Fox fans.